Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at a brand new Spanish battleship with an F key gimmick of plus 40% alpha damage. Oh my goodness, that is crazy. It means a single citadel is nearly doing 20,000 alpha damage at tier 9. That's like getting Satsuma level alpha damage down at tier 9. We can face tier 7s. Okay, we're taking a look at Triunfante. I apologize about pronunciation, but new Spanish tier 9 battleship, as well as the new Spanish special commander. All right, let me give this a go. Pascual? Apologies. I am really bad at other languages than English. Even that sometimes. Anyways, we have a new commander and a new battleship to take a look at today. They are available in the same sort of event, which I will talk about in a second. But first, this battleship. We are going to see some pretty massive alpha damage. 40% on the AP is absolutely insane. It also buffs our HE. So assuming we're within 14.5 kilometers, there is no downside to using this F key. It's very interesting. Usually F key combat instructions, we see that with combat instructions, you have the downside of having to charge them up. With F keys, oftentimes it comes with a penalty of reload time, so worse DPM, that sort of thing. Perhaps worse dispersion, anything like that. However, here, if there are enemies within 14.5 kilometers, just use it. Straight up. It is that simple to use. That is the downside, I suppose, is that we have to play at closer range. And the armor here is okay. It is a St. Vincent hull. You've probably noticed the similarities there. It's a bit like St. Vincent, however, 32 mil bow stern rather than the only 25 that Vincent has. Though no super healing here, notably. That is going to be a bit of a downside here too. Trying to keep this ship alive at close range will be the challenge. The damage, assuming the guns hit, is very good. It is very, very good. The alpha damage here goes absolutely wild. I think this commander synergizes pretty well with Triunfante. Honestly, it gives us better DPM per kill we get, or at least assists too. So every 2 kills or assists, you're going to notice that I get a small reload buff of 2.5%. That is going to be amazing on any Spanish ship that you put this special commander on, as well as, yes, we're getting heals based on our commander. Anytime we drop below 75%, 50%, or 25%, up to 3 times per battle, you are going to get a small heal. It's healing based on your ship's tier, so the higher the tier, the more it's going to do. But at its most, it's going to give you 200 HP per second for 10 seconds. So it's going to give you 2,000 HP at tier 10. Here at tier 9, we're getting 180 HP per second for those 10 seconds. It's decent, not that good on a battleship though. Notably, if you play poorly and take a ton of damage all at once, like we're showing off here, that armor does start to fall apart at these closer ranges when we get focused down like this. You gotta be a little careful with this one. You do not get penalized for using all of the Spanish special commanders healing all at once. So if you drop from 100% HP down to 30% HP, it's not like you're skipping over one of those 75 or 50% HP thresholds. You get it guaranteed, which is very nice, and notably going to be very good on a Spanish destroyer. Yeah, Alvaro is going to be nasty with this thing. DPM bonuses and healing on that destroyer. We're going to take a look at that one shortly, don't you worry. Now, there's also a few buffed normal commander skills, as we usually see the standard commander builds. Some of them are slightly better. I'll show you that at the end when we talk about the build. But having the extra DPM here is actually quite nice for a pretty easy upfront cost of getting kills or assists, right? We don't even need to get the final shot into an enemy. We just need to do a lot of damage or spotting, that kind of thing, to actually get those assists. So, good commander, maybe not for the battleship as much, but very good commander for cruisers and certainly for destroyers. This battleship, though, is interesting, okay? I like battleships that are accurate, as you guys know. And with an F key that is giving us alpha damage close to that of a Satsuma at tier 9, understandably struggles with accuracy. It only has 1.8 sigma battleship dispersion, so you're not going to have the most consistent salvos. When it hits, it absolutely smashes. But that's only when it hits, unfortunately. If you're playing close range, you know, even 1.8 sigma battleship dispersion can be decent. it's still not the most consistent battleship in the world. Understandably so. I don't think they could give it better dispersion given the crazy alpha damage buff on display here. One shell is enough to do an absolute ton of damage here, and we're already approaching 100,000 damage in the first 4.5 minutes of this battle. One, I might add, that only has one battleship per team. So we're doing fine, okay? This battleship is solid. I just really need you to know that my preference for battleships is accuracy over outright alpha damage. I find that more satisfying, and as a result, I maybe didn't have the most satisfying time with Triunfante, even though I did have pretty awesome games with it. It needs to be played at close range, though. Anytime we're outside of that 14.5 kilometers, one, the dispersion starts to look atrocious, but also we're not getting that benefit of alpha damage. And then suddenly, we are a 406 mil battleship with not the best dispersion, not the fastest reload. You know, it's down to like 29 seconds with reload mod. That's not bad, but that's not anything terribly special. It's kind of worse than Iowa in that way if we're playing outside of that 14.5 kilometer window. So we need to be getting inside that range, which is challenging in today's more passive meta. Into these tier 9 games, it's a lot easier. As soon as you're up tiered into super ships, though, that is going to be a massive challenge with this ship. We're relatively quick, though. Again, that Vincent hull is quite nice. We don't get any extra consumables, like an engine boost or anything like that. The heal is a standard 14% HP, 80-second cooldown, damage control. Also here at a 15-second action time, 80-second cooldown. Nothing too special there. Though the Spanish Special Commander is also giving us a small bonus to our consumable reload time. This happens at 75%, 50, and 25% HP. The heal is the main portion there. It's only a small bonus to our consumable reload, 3% to damage control and repairs, 6% to other consumables. So again, maybe better on cruisers with other utility, destroyers, right, with smokes and that. It's something, but not the main gimmick of the commander. Doesn't help the Triunfante that much. If you're going to get burst down, you're going to die very quickly in this ship, regardless of the commander, because, again, no special healing here. That speed is nice, though, to get across the map, to get into positions where you are going to make use of this 14.5 kilometer range and the extra alpha damage. I am using gun feeder here because I did want to swap over to the HE. 406s don't carry a lot of overmatch. We may have the alpha damage of something like a Satsuma, but we don't have the overmatch to just stick with the armor piercing. So it is important that we swap over to that HE when the time calls for it. Very good into those destroyers, as well as into angled battleships. That is going to be a bit of an issue with playing this ship. Players aren't just going to sit broadside on to a ship with nearly 20k alpha damage. If you catch them off guard, thanks to the nice concealment, 13.6 is very good here. That's great, but you get one shot at it, and then they are likely to angle to you. And with the 1.8 Sigma on these guns, it's not going to consistently dev strike ever. It will. It certainly will smash when it hits, but that consistency element there, that's why I wanted to be able to swap over the HE. Small 10% alpha damage buff when we are using the F key here on the HE. So it's not nearly as massive as that AP buff, but it's still worth mentioning. Much better at closer ranges. That is very good into destroyers, notably as well. We are going to burn down here as I am very greedily taking heavy AP. It's one of the buff skills on the Spanish Special Commander, as well as synergizing well. Percentage-based buffs stack very nicely together with this F key and heavy AP. Though it does mean, yeah, we do end up burning out in this one. But 171k into a single battleship game. Did a lot of pushing, some decent tanking here for the team, as well as managed to help take out some destroyers. It can do well in a push, as long as there's not a ton of enemies to focus it down. Otherwise, we're going to need to play positions like this more often, where we are pushing up on a flank where an island can keep us covered from being detected, or getting cross-mapped, shot over, that kind of thing. We can't be solo pushing flanks. We can't be forcing the F key range in every single battle. We do have to play this one smart, which is a good thing, okay? I do think that is a very good thing. I don't see this as a massively overpowered battleship in that regard. So, how do we get it? We're nearly 10 minutes in this video and I have not told you how to get it. Unfortunately, this one is going to be quite expensive. You remember the Fuyutsuki event where that ship was available at the end of a bunch of bundles in the armory, and those bundles contained premium containers that had a chance of dropping Fuyutsuki. The chain of bundles, though, added up to like 50,000 doubloons to get the Fuyutsuki guaranteed. It's a similar idea here with Triunfante. So those containers will give you a chance to get Triunfante, and at the end of all those sequential bundles, if you're not super lucky with the containers as you are going through those sequential bundles, you will have the ship at the very end, just like how the Fuyutsuki went. However, I don't know the full cost to buy it out. I have no idea why they didn't give us the information. I'll put up a note on screen if I get that information before I render this video. And if not, it'll be pinned in the comments down below. I will update you on that. My guess right now as I'm recording this is probably like 30, 40k doubloons. Maybe not 30. They like to go really expensive. Tier 10s are usually 50 in that sort of situation. So maybe this being 40,000. It's just way too expensive in my opinion. Always. It doesn't really matter to me if it's even above 20,000 doubloons. It feels like way too much to spend on a single premium ship. But that's just me personally. You can decide for yourself, of course, with what to do with your own money. The Spanish Special Commander, though, now that one is interesting. That one you will be able to get for free next update, not this update. Okay, unfortunately, during this start of this Spanish event with Triunfante and the Special Commander, the collection elements, yes, it's another collection with commanders. We've seen that before, works the same way. These collection elements are also in this premium container we're getting from these sequential bundles. You will need 60 of these elements total, and it's a 3-to-1 exchange rate. So make sure you're not exchanging your duplicates until you know you can complete the full puzzle of this collection. So for the first little bit, he will be paid. The only way to get him is through these sequential bundle premium containers. But next update is the anniversary update. And we know snowflakes, right? We've seen that before, grinding that out in the anniversary updates. One of the things you'll be able to exchange those tokens for in the anniversary update is some containers that will contain these Spanish Special Commander collection elements. So completely for free next update, just by having a bunch of ships, grinding out those snowflake rewards, you will be able to get the Spanish Special Commander. Really nice to see that, as in the past, we've seen these collection elements be paid only and then be exclusive for months and months on end. So this one, you gotta wait a week or two until update 15.8 drops, grind out your anniversary token rewards, snowflake style rewards, and you can get the Spanish Special Commander, which is really cool. So something definitely to be excited about is this Spanish Special Commander. I think he's going to be awesome on especially cruisers and definitely on destroyers. The battleships will be not as much of a bonus. It's nice to have. It's certainly a nice bonus. Certainly the AP alpha damage skill is great here. The odd time we do manage to get a Citadel, Broadside Iowa only eats one, still get nearly 30,000 damage at least out of that one. But I think most of us will be running him on Alvaro, certainly, and then maybe Castilla could notice a small improvement there. That poor ship could use some buffs, I think, Wargaming. Little accuracy bonus on that burst fire could go a long way, I think. But I'm definitely excited to check him out on a bunch of different ships. Now, back to Triunfante. This concealment, man, the fact that we have a little bit of room here to still use our F key and massive alpha damage buff while being undetected feels really good when we can catch enemy cruisers off guard, right? If people don't know exactly where you're at, you can sneak up and use this massive alpha burst into them. It's pretty strong. It's very, very good into its own tier. It's insane into down tiers. The ship is very powerful, okay? Don't get me wrong. Even though the dispersion being bad means that I personally am not going to enjoy it quite so much, it's still a very, very powerful ship. You catch broadsides with this AP into down tiers. You still can overmatch with 406s still. It's still going to be very good. I should note that these are going to be Italian style guns. I believe they are off Marco Polo, so not quite as high alpha damage as what we see on like American 406s, for example, but still decent, and crucially, pretty good pen and shell velocity. So this one is relatively easy to lead at these medium and even longer ranges. Solid pen too out of these 406s, so GK not going to eat Citadels here, but Here we want volume of fire, right? Usually into GKs, we're looking for 12-gun battleships to get those 30-plus alpha damage salvos. In a 9-gun battleship like an Iowa, you know, I would be expecting 20, maybe 25k. The extra alpha damage here from the F key allowing us to burst up towards maybe those 12-gun 406 battleship salvos. Really nice to see. Second salvo comes relatively quickly here too. Oh, and that's great when the dispersion's good, guys. Does some great work. It's just not always going to have the best dispersion. Inconsistency is required when your alpha damage is this high. Now, the difference in reload, you may have noticed when I was looking at the shells here as I was playing in the recording, that it showed that there was some different reload for using the F key here, right? Worse reload when we're using it, better reload when we're not. That was just a bug, I guess, of when I was playing it. I don't know. Perhaps that was some testing thing. That is not actually what happens. This ship has the same reload whether using F key or not. So the only penalty is to the main gun range, which feels a little bit strange in that it is basically no penalty when you're facing your own tier and into down tiers, tier 8s, tier 7s. 14.5 kilometers is super duper easy to push into. And then into up tiers, into super ships, it's incredibly difficult to push in that close without dying. So this is going to be a ship that absolutely walks all over the down tiers and really struggles into up tiers. A lot of tier 9s are like that. I know a lot of them are, but this one especially, its gimmick, everything about what makes this ship strong is not going to be that powerful into the up tiers, but insane into down tiers. So unfortunately, I don't think that's going to lead to as fun of a playstyle, considering the matchmaker of tier 9 is often into up tiers these days. I did get fortunate enough to play against my own tier quite often in this video, and we had some really good games in those as a result. The firing angles of the ship were surprisingly okay, 30 degrees forward, 30 degrees backwards, so we can't afford to angle this armor. 32 does get penned a lot by HE, as well as some overmatch into those up tiers. 40 is okay, but we do have a rather large superstructure here that we have to deal with. The extra armor here over Vincent does feel very, very nice. You know, Vincent here having to deal with that 25 mil bow. We don't have the super heal though, so we're still a little bit more vulnerable, I would say. But just like Vincent, we have that waterline citadel with a little bit of, not very well angled, but a little bit of turtleback. More spaced armor is what I would call that, meaning that it's not going to get citadeled that often. If they were using the Duncan hull from the tier 9 on the St. Vincent line, this would all be citadel, and it would be very vulnerable then. Fortunately, we don't have to deal with that, although that might have been an interesting weakness to deal with, I think. At least into those down tier games. I wouldn't want any more weakness to deal with into super ship games. The secondaries are definitely not worth speccing on this ship. No improved accuracy and not the best range, not the best DPM at all. So don't go for them. It's all about main guns and this F key as far as getting into more brawling focused ranges. As for my build here, very, very greedy. I know, very greedy. Wanting to go with super heavy AP shells. That is one of the Special Commander's buffed skills for battleships here. Also fire chance, but I'm not going with that. I would rather have gun feeder as well as getting our consumables back a little bit sooner. But 10% alpha damage? That's pretty spicy when combined with this F key. So we get 13,860 alpha damage before the F key. And then with it, yes, 19,404. That is some of the highest alpha damage in the game, and certainly the highest at tier 9. Otherwise, the rest of the build is mostly focused on staying alive as well as getting into that closer range engagement. I do not want to give up my concealment buffs because, again, sneaking into 13.6 kilometer range allows us to surprise some people with an insane alpha damage salvo. Fire prevention required here. We're not the most maneuverable ship, right? We don't have an engine boost like Vincent, so we're a little slow acceleration, rudder shift, that kind of thing. So we need that. We're going to get hit by a lot of AHE. I'm taking improved repair party readiness here. We do have a decent amount of HP, so I'm not getting the biggest benefit here, but stacking that with our 3% every time we are going below 75, 50, and 25% HP, get an extra 3% consumable cooldown on our heal as well as our damage control when that happens. Stacking those bonuses can result in the heal and damage control coming back just in time, sometimes. Not always. It's also why I'm taking this 2-point skill here for the 40% consumable cooldown when we are using our AA, which is okay. The continuous DPS isn't too bad. There's 9 flak here as well, kind of required to push in. Notice I didn't have to deal with too many carrier games, and trying to push up in a carrier game, not gonna go so well, all right? I think this ship has not enough AA to actually push in a carrier game, certainly not with the new AA system. But that's the build that I was using. Perhaps might be a good idea to just simply drop super heavy AP and go more healing, or maybe just go full greed, heavy AP, furious, remove conceal or fire prevention, just go all in on a burst of damage, and you'll die quick, but you'll probably get a lot of damage as a result of that build. Here's the upgrades that I was using in this one, so definitely going with reload mod. I did try using range mod and then seeing what that would do, but this is not a percentage decrease to our range. It is a flat number, so it's not going to change based on our maximum range here. Prop mod, because it's so sluggish to maneuver forward and backwards, so I really needed that. Dispersion, of course, and the rest are pretty basic here. Okay, it's a couple days later, actually, day before this video goes live. We're working on the weekend, boys. I have to get this information to you. 91,250 doubloons? What are we on, Wargaming? How was Fuyutsuki 50,000 doubloons for its total sequential bundles? Triunfante, a lower tier battleship, which I think is worse at its tier than Fuyutsuki is at its tier. Not that that necessarily matters to them, right, and monetization, but what are we? Tier 9 is now 91,000? It's funny. I'm not actually that mad, to be honest with you. Like, you're going to hear in a second my speculation on the price, which is kind of funny to look back on. I'm not going to cut that out. You'll hear that after this, speculating on what the price could be and whether or not the ship is even worth it. Hell, I was speculating a lot lower, so safe to say this is not worth it at all, bro. It's kind of a smasher of low tiers and sucks into up tiers. And in a lot of the games, I would just rather have a more accurate battleship. That's kind of the summary of this one. Now, it does not also have Admiral bundles either. So this is straight up just this sequential bundle, at least as far as I know. They could just surprise me, given how rushed or little information it seems like they have given me to share with you. I thought maybe we would get sequential bundles and a armory doubloon option here. But notice that is only for the premium containers, right? It shows the ship. We're talking about the ship, Triunfante. Yeah. In separate bundles for doubloons and real money. But no, it's not the ship. It is only the premium containers, which are quite expensive in their own right. So it is pure gambling for Triunfante, and it's essentially got a pity drop after spending 91,000 doubloons. That's insane. No ship in this game is worth that at all, let alone a decent-ish tier 9 battleship. I don't know. I don't think this is actually that amazing of a ship. But again, for me, I value accuracy over alpha damage. So this feels like I'm just rolling a dice even harder rather than getting rewarded for positioning more so. If you get lucky, this ship absolutely crushes. Again, if you get lucky, if it hits, it's got the highest alpha damage by far at tier 9 for battleships here. You're getting super battleship level alpha damage. But of course, it comes with that penalty of the accuracy, which is needed. They could not give it this crazy alpha damage and accuracy. I understand. But for me and what I like to play in the game, it's not my kind of battleship. And it's so expensive, right? I don't think this is anybody's battleship, really, unless you get super lucky on these containers. But you shouldn't be buying these containers if you want the special commander, because in next update, the anniversary update, a week or two from now when that launches, you will be able to get the commander collection completely for free. You don't even have to spend on these premium containers. So for me, this is just the ultimate... Nobody should engage with this event. I don't know what they were thinking here. Unfortunately, I have not heard back yet about the total cost of this ship. Again, very strange that we don't get to know the cost. Weird, very weird. I would assume in that 40k range, maybe 30k doubloons total on the sequential bundles. I will say those premium containers in those sequential bundles are only giving you a 1.5% chance of actually getting this ship. And given that we saw Fuyutsuki have a 2% drop chance in the containers and it had 50 containers, I'm guessing here. I'm totally, again, check the pinned comment. I will update you if I get this information, or just when the event go live, then we can all see it. Again, I wish we'd get these information, man. Fuyutsuki had 50 containers, so with that 2% drop rate, you had a 50-50 chance. I know that's not how the math but you know, dumb version of math, you had a 50% chance of getting the ship before you got all the way through the sequential bundles. With this being a 1.5% chance, you would need to have a similar half of the time, half the players would get the ship but through the sequential bundles before the final one. You would need 66 container or 67 containers there. So maybe that's what we'll see. Again, I am just guessing here. This is not actually information. Again, check the pinned comment. Hopefully I do get that information before this video goes live. Not that I think it matters that much, considering it's a tier 9 premium battleship that I don't think is that amazing. It's really good in the clips that you're going to see of the dev strikes, the nearly 20k alpha damage, just nuking everything in the down tier. I think a lot of battleships will do that sort of thing anyway. More accurate battleships, instead of getting 1 citadel for 19,000 damage, are going to get 2 citadels for 12,000 damage, right? I think that is more likely going to be the playstyle difference here. So for me, this is not really one worth going for or worth really trying to buy out here, especially considering we have so many cool ships in Holiday Convoy. You can grind completely for free. Don't got to spend money on those. Anniversary event coming up, going to get you that special commander completely for free. So for me, honestly, this is a pretty easy pass on this event. Interesting to take a look at a new battleship and a new concept of a brawler focused on main guns, of course, but it's just too much cost in my opinion. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching and have a great rest of your day.